How to shoot the VOR 35 approach at Outlaw. The first thing we got to do is ensure that we are looking at the right approach chart. So we're going to go into the top right and we'll look for the VOR 35 at Outlaw, ensuring that it is for Clarksville, Tennessee. We then ensure that the approach plate is valid by looking on the sides, and we see it's from September 5th to October 3rd. Next thing to do would be to check our NOTAMs. There's 5 NOTAMs saying the ILS 35 is not monitored, the ILS outer marker is not monitored, runway 35's approach lighting system is out of service, and the localizer for 35 is out of service. And the big NOTAM that's important for this one is runways 17 and 35 are closed. After checking the NOTAMs, we can begin starting the approach, making sure that we have the VOR frequency set at 110.6. Our final approach course is 357. The runway landing length is sufficient at 599. And touchdown zone elevation and airport elevation are the same at 550. In checking of the notes, circling is not applicable when you are flying west of runway 17 or 35, and that is because of the restricted area to the west of the field. Circling to runways 5, 17, and 23 are not applicable at night, and the rest of the notes have to do with helicopter visibility and if the local altimeter setting is not received at Outlaw. Our comms should be set and checked prior to briefing of the approach, but your weather can be found on 134.575, Campbell approach on 134.35, and CTAF on 122.8. The lighting for this approach is a MALS, so medium intensity approach lighting system. The PAPIs are going to be displayed on the left hand side as shown by the little symbol there on the left. To do the full procedure for this approach, we are going to begin by flying direct to the VOR. And again, in most cases, we are approaching from the eastern side of the field, so it'll be on a radial about 090. Upon crossing the VOR, we will then fly outbound. Now there's 2 numbers being shown here, 357 and the 177. This is the exact same radial that we're going to fly at both for the inbound and the outbound. But since we have to travel south first to get away from the VOR, we are going to fly outbound on the 177 degree radial. For this, the OPS needs to be set to 177. After turning outbound and being wings level and established, you'll start your timer for 2 minutes. And the reason you start your timer for 2 minutes is because the initial approach fix, which in this case is the VOR itself, is on the field. If we were using a initial approach fix down here further to the south, we would only time outbound for 1 minute. Once your timer has reached 2 minutes, you have also been allowed to descend to 2,300, with the overlying note to remain within 10 nautical miles of the VOR. So during this time of going out at 177, you descended down to 2,300. You then begin to execute the procedure turn. That procedure turn will be a left turn to 132. Again, once your wings are level, you will initiate the timer for 1 minute. After 1 minute, you will turn right away from the hook to a heading of 312. After establishing yourself on 312, you will then swing the OBS around to 357. You are wanting to see a 2 indication on your VOR receiver. You will wait and fly this 312 until you are established inbound. After you are receiving the information going inbound, you can descend to your minimums. Straight-in minimums for category A are 1120 and 1 statute mile. You begin descending down to that, and you want to be at your minimums at your VDP, which is 2.1 miles from the Outlaw VOR. Again, your VDP stands for visual descent point, and that is generally where you want to be at for a 3-degree glide slope to the runway. Again, the missed approach point is the last thing on the approach chart here, and that is the VOR itself. So you'll continue flying at 1120 until the VOR. Once you see the complete flip, you then begin to execute the missed approach. The missed approach can be found right here in this section, or it can be found up here textually in the top right. The missed approach is a climb to 1,500, then a climbing right turn to 2,200, direct to the VOR, and hold. At this point, you would then ask for any questions and then ensure that you are ready to execute the approach.